Hi guys, welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I'm so glad you chose to join me today. Now today we're going to make my very first pattern and it's called a diamond star. Let's have a look at it. I decided to do this because I thought I could just show off my newfound skills and express to you what I've actually been learning. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the sizes you're going to need for the diamond star quilt, we're going to be using 10-inch squares, and this is going to be a very large star in the middle of the quilt. Now I'm going to be using this particular color here because I think it really stands out, and you need a really depth of color to be able to notice the star, and as well as I'm going to be using some white fabric. Right, so for the darks we're going to be needing 16 of the dark 10-inch squares, and I'm using, as I said, white for my light fabric, and I'm going to be using a light blue here for my medium color fabric. In total you're going to need 16, 24, and you're going to be needing 8. Of course, you can change your color to whatever you like. It's entirely down to you. Now, to make the half square triangles, put white or the light fabric down and then put your dark fabric on top of it, pretty side to pretty side or facing together so that you can see the back of the fabric facing you. You're going to draw a line from point to point along there. Use some sort of marking tool that you can actually see. In this particular case, I've actually used some tailor's chalk and it's orange in color. Now remember, this is not your stitching line. Okay, you need to stitch along there 1/2 inch seam on both sides. So you stitch all along there. This now becomes your cutting line where you actually separate the fabric. Now once you've done that, you're going to end up with something like this. So you have half of the color on each side, and you're going to do that for all of your 10-inch squares. So remember, you're going to have 8 of these and you're going to have 16 of these in total. Once we've done that, the next best thing for us to do is to now layer it out, to lay it all out. So I've started doing that, and I'm going to show you what I've achieved so far and what you need to do to the next stage. I have started to iron all of my half squares triangles, and what I needed you to want to make sure and point out to you is that for your seams you need to ensure that they lay towards the dark fabric. We don't want that going towards the light fabric because it is going to show up under the light fabric. Start along the middle and press away from the middle. Okay, so do that with all of them. Once you've done that, I would say to trim off your dog ears, which is just those little flaps there. So I've gone ahead and completed all of my half square triangles. I still have about 2 or 4 sheets actually left to complete, but I wanted to show you how the pattern has actually started to form. Now if we look into the middle, we can see the massive star all the way around them. You can see all of the points here. Now I'm going to pull some away so you can actually see it a lot more carefully. Just isolate it a little bit so I can see where it's actually being formed. So you can look, you can see your points here, your star points there. All right, I started with a square in the middle to make that actual diamond shape. Now what I've also noticed is upon making this, you can actually get another secondary pattern, which is the diamond here. You have one here, there, along the middle, and this is the last bit that I have to add on to here, just so that you can see this diamond as well. There's also another one to be added on to the end here and to the end here. With your lights and your medium dark, this helps to start this other formation of the diamond at the end of this row. Now another pattern has also started to form, which I didn't take into account, was the chevron with the white here on the end of the fabric here. So I've got another 2 pieces to go here and another 2 pieces to go here. Now once I've done those, what I'm going to start doing is stitching it all together, and I'm going to work square by square in line and pick them up so that I don't actually get it mixed up. What I would advise you is to take a picture so that you wouldn't get yourself confused. And that's it. So I'm going to stitch it all together, and then I'm going to come back and then we're going to talk about the actual borders. Okay, so this quilt top stitched together quite quickly. It didn't take long at all, and I'm very pleased with the process and how it actually went. Okay, I've decided was to use a blue border around the quilt top just to enable it to be more prominent and to see all of the patterns a lot more clearly. So obviously when you stand back you will see it. If you look along 3 of the rows, you can actually see the diamonds on this side as well as along the middle and at the other end. Also at the top there you can see the other chevron, and then the other one is at the bottom here. This is a very beautiful pattern and it's available for you as a free download, so please make sure you make full use of it, and I look forward to seeing yours. The next step now is to add the basting, which obviously is the backing and the batting together, and of course the free motion quilting, and followed by the binding, and then I will show you the completed quilt. So the quilt is finally ready, and I'm so excited to share with you how it actually turned out. Let's have a closer look. So if you can look overall at the quilt, you will see on this area here there is 3 diamonds, also in the middle as well as also on the end. Now there's also another pattern which is a chevron at the bottom here where I'm standing, and another one at the top. The quilt measures 58 by 77, which is a really good size. It didn't take very long to put together at all, and it stitched up quite quickly. Remember, we used 10-inch squares, and I cut mine from yardage. You're also, I think it's a good idea to use just a layer cake, and of course you would have a lot more different color scheme, or you can use solids and a floral just like I've actually done, again to eliminate any sort of cutting and measuring, but that's really down to you. For the pattern, you can see the main star in the middle, and I think that's really good because I use the darker fabric in the middle so that it's a lot more pop in terms of actually noticing that star there. When you do your star, be sure to that you actually use a 1/4-inch seam, especially at the points here, because remember this star is actually on point. All right, and so therefore if you don't, or else I should say, if you use a wider 1/4-inch seam, you're very likely to lose your points there, and then it doesn't give a good presentation or the neatness of the actual quilt. So just be mindful of that. With the borders, I chose to do a royal blue on there, and I did a 2.5-inch width for that, for the border. I also did a sort of a swirl meandering pattern there, free motion quilting on that. I was a bit unsure what colour pattern to use for the thread, but I chose a white on the border for the meandering shapes, and for the quilt itself I just used a very light pale blue because I didn't want the thread colour to take over that sort of colour shape. On the binding I did a piecing, and again using up all of the extra fabric, and again not having to worry about any wastage. I think that really worked out well because it again brings everything together and make it more wholesome. On the back was another piecing also, and again I used up all of the blue floral fabric, which is a medium. I also went ahead and did a very small floral print for the back as well, sort of blending in with the original larger floral print on the front of the quilt. So overall this worked out really well. I would say when you're deciding to do yours and you're a bit unsure about the thread, what I actually did was to just did a bit of a trial of all of them. So I did the free motion quilting pattern on a little bit of a paddy that I made, a sandwich that I made, and then just to know what the shape as well as how the color would look on the overall quilt. So I think that's a good tip for you to do, and so that therefore it works out really well. Now I had a little bit of fabric left over as well, and rather than put it in my basket as something is waste, or having to think about something to make with it, I decided again was to make a cushion cover, and I think it blends in really beautifully and help lift the quilt also. So again, try and aim to use up all of the fabric, so that way you don't have to worry about using up leftover fabric. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and you are actually making all of your quilts, and please share them with me. I'd love to see and hear your experiences also. So it'll be great if you can like, subscribe, hit that bell so that I know that it's ready. Another one, she's done it, let's see what she's done. And you're really excited to be hearing from me, because I'm really excited to share my experience with you. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.